Alright guys, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to PlayStation News, Rumours and Leaks. Let's get straight into it. Timestamps are available in the description below if you wanted to jump straight to the bits that you're interested in. And I do have to apologise if you do hear some construction work going on in the background. I do apologise, we've got some builders in and around the area. So let's start off with the Embracer Group, which has now sold Borderlands developer Gearbox for $460 million after acquiring the developer for roughly $1.3 billion just over 3 years ago. What a massive loss. Embracer have sold Gearbox for a third of what it paid 3 years ago. Just shows the difficult times the gaming industry is facing right now. Have we seen the best part of the gaming industry at its height over the past few years? It's certainly a question worth asking with multiple studio closures and developers being let go around the world across the gaming industry. Earlier today, Embracer Group announced it had completed the sale of Borderlands studio Gearbox Entertainment for $460 million to Take-Two Interactive. The deal includes the sale of Gearbox's Austin, Texas and Quebec, Montreal studios, as well as the rights to Borderlands, Tiny Tina, Homeworld, Risk of Rain and Duke Nukem series. However, Embracer is still retaining the publishing arm of Gearbox, which includes the rights to games such as Remnant 2 and the upcoming Hyper Light Breaker. There's also the other unannounced games retained via Gearbox's publishing arm for Embracer Group. Embracer is also keeping the rights to Neverwinter Online and Star Trek Online, two MMO titles, as well as the Lost Boys Interactive and Captured Dimensions. Embracer further adds that the two retained studios will be welcomed and integrated into the other parts of the Embracer Group in the upcoming period ahead. All this comes after the Embracer Group originally acquired Gearbox, and this includes its development studios and publishing arm for roughly $1.3 billion, including stocks and shares back in February 2021. It's incredible how the valuation of the company has dramatically fallen inside 3 years. A report back in September 2023 claimed that the Embracer Group was close to selling Gearbox as the fallout of Embracer's failed $2 billion investment from outside investors. We believe at the time that was a Saudi-led investment which failed for whatever reason, and it resulted in Embracer just looking ahead at the studios that it was probably going to lose, and unfortunately Gearbox fell into that category. Embracer also shut down Saints Row developer Volition back in September, also due to the fallout of the failed investment. Over a period of 6 months last year, Embracer Group cancelled 29 unannounced games and shut down 7 studios, one of which was unannounced Deus Ex game, which had been in development at Eidos Montreal for several years. Always sad to hear about studio closures and devs being let go. However, the one thing about this sale, at least Gearbox has gone to a publisher which does own many of the large gaming franchises like 2K Sports, Bioshock, the Grand Theft Auto series, Red Dead, Bully, and so on and so on. So there's a history there and a tradition of at least making games and putting them out there. So at least it's not been shut down, which is a good thing. Hopefully Gearbox can sort themselves out, open up a game development plan and start to produce some good games over the coming years ahead. Right guys, let's move on. Stellar Blade looks like a pretty decent game to some, and to others, well, let's just say they're more interested in the characters, if you know what I mean. However, take note, Stellar Blade does not have a photo mode, but its developer will consider adding one if fans make enough noise, and I'm sure they will. The article comes from Games Radar. It goes on to say, speaking to Famitsu, Stellar Blade game director Hyung Tae Kim reveals that the action RPG isn't launching with a photo mode, as the development team is currently busy polishing the game. However, if players make enough noise for the feature, Shift Up might consider adding it at some point after launch. What are the odds that the game already has a photo mode made, and they're not going to release it they're not going to release it at launch, but perhaps they'll release it as a free DLC or an update, or maybe a paid one. But they're not going to do it until they get enough engagement from the fan base. It's an interesting and very clever marketing ploy. The article then goes on to say that fans shouldn't take this as a guarantee that your pleas will be answered though. They go on to say that they will do their very best to answer players' feedback for a photo mode after launch, but nowhere do they guarantee that Shift Up will actually have the time or resources to make it a reality. This all comes about as anticipation surrounding Stellar Blade is reaching fever pitch right around a month before launch. It coincides with outlets publishing hands-on previews of the new action RPG, as well as game clips showing Eve gracefully slicing apart various monstrosities. It looks expensive, looks stunning, badass, and very high quality. Stellar Blade will have a place in the Game of the Year shortlist for sure, writes one Twitter user reacting to the combat video from Famitsu. If you're wondering how normal folk might be about requests for a photo mode, look no further than Eve's Behind. Shift Up is responsible for the butt-jiggling game Nikke or Nike, Nikke. If you didn't know, game director Kim previously told Games Radar Plus that Stellar Blade's devs paid so much attention to Eve's back and backside because it's what the players will see for the vast majority of the game. Stellar Blade launches next month on April the 26th as a PS5 exclusive game, so there's less than a month to go now until Shift Up's action RPG is available to play. More immediately though, we can look forward to Stellar Blade's demo going live this Friday, April the 29th, tomorrow indeed. This is the same demo that was pulled off the PSN after it accidentally launched earlier in the month. A few of you have commented already on a previous video of mine that you're going to be trying out the demo. I have to be honest, I think most PlayStation gamers will be taking a butcher's at the demo and then make up their own mind if they want to actually go ahead and buy the game. Anyhow, great to get a new demo of a new game launching in and around a month's time. Let me know in the comments if you like a photo mode for Stellar Blade. No judgment from me. Let's move on. Ubisoft's hotly anticipated PS5 game Star Wars Outlaws has been rated in Australia. The filing was made on the 20th of March. This comes courtesy of Kotaku. And there's speculation that a release date could be imminent, although that remains to be seen. Outlaws has previously received preliminary standardized IRC, which stands for an International Age Rating Coalition, and the rating given to the game is M for mature audiences, with advisories for online activity, science fiction themes, and violence. It sounds about in line with what one would expect from a Star Wars game, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor from developer Respawn received the same classification from the body back in 2022. It's believed that Ubisoft is targeting a late 2024 release date for Outlaws, which could end up being a flagship AAA holiday title this Christmas, which will be fantastic. The game centers around following a group of down-on-their-luck rogues looking to score big in the lawless Outer Rim. Outlaws is being developed by Massive Entertainment, the Ubisoft studio responsible for The Division. I've seen trailers of this game, and to me it looks okay, it looks pretty good. Let me know if you plan on picking this game up when it does come out, possibly towards the end of 2024, but from what I've seen so far, I think I might give this one a try. Looks pretty good to me. Let's move on to some bad news, unfortunately. Sega has sold off primarily PC-based strategy game developer Relic Entertainment and is in the process of cutting up to 240 jobs across its various UK studios. Relic, which makes the company of war games, will be an independent studio moving forwards, and said in a short statement that it remains on good terms with its former parent company. The bulk of the job losses will be attributed to Creative Assembly and Sega Europe, although the mobile developer Sega Hardlight will also be hit. There's no mention of 2 Point Studios or Sports Interactive, so presumably those are safe right now. Sega boss Jürgen Post goes on to say, "I want to sincerely apologize for the worry and understandable distress this news will cause, particularly for those directly affected. These decisions have been incredibly tough to make, and they follow meticulous consideration and deliberation with leaders across the business. Change is necessary to secure the future of our games business and to ensure that we are all well placed to deliver the best possible experiences to our players going forward. We need to streamline, focus on what we're good at, and position ourselves as best we can for the road ahead. In order to do that, we need to respond to the changing economic landscape and the challenges we're facing in the way we develop our games and products and bring them to market. Obviously, this is just the latest in a long line of job cuts which have been ravaging the gaming industry for over a couple of years now. The industry is going through a very tough time. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, have we gone past the peak in terms of gaming? Have we gone beyond the spike, and are we now on the downward curve? I mean, if you look at it objectively, many game studios that were purchased, look back over the last 3 years or so, give or take, they were probably purchased at a very overly inflated price. They're now worth a fraction. Two come to mind. Obviously, we've spoken about Gearbox, purchased for $1.3 billion. Bungie at PlayStation, purchased for $3 billion. Yes, some of the money was put aside for the developers, but the studio is not worth $3 billion, right? Game development costs are out of control, especially for the big AAA games. Studios cannot afford to keep on their devs. Live service games are costing an arm and a leg to develop for. Publishers cannot afford to keep so many studios running. You put all that in the mix, along with the global recession, the inflation, the pound, the dollar, all dropping like flies at the minute. You put that in the mix, and you've got studio closures, you've got devs being let go, games being shut down midway through their development life cycle, live service games being cancelled. It's a mess right now. It looks as though the gaming industry just needs to hold fire, take stock, re-evaluate how they move forward, factoring in all the costs and development times. Tough times for sure, but we've seen these cycles before, and like every other industry, the gaming industry is no different. It's not immune to these challenges, and I'm sure the gaming industry, the studios and devs will bounce back stronger than ever before, and we'll get a whole raft of new studios, and we'll get a raft of new IP and new games in the future. But right now it is tough. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the topics discussed today in the video, but thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next PlayStation News, Rumours and Leaks video.